This is the Moshpit Backstage podcast for punk, metal and rock interviews and segments.
Hey, this is Mark from Aversions Crown, and you're listening to the Moshpit on SYN.
Mark is the vocalist of Aversions Crown, whose third album, Xenocide, is out now. Mark, thank you so much for joining me.
No worries, thanks for having me.
This is your debut album with the band. What was the process like for creating this album?
It was a collaborative effort between everyone, really. We just all kind of we would get a instrumental version of the track that our guitarist Chris Egan would write, and then we'd all kind of add our own elements to it, where Jaden would put the drums to it, and I would just add the vocals to it. So, yeah, it was just like a collaboration over time where we all just went back and forth between our computers and slowly created something.
Because you're located in Melbourne, the rest of the guys up in Brisbane, does that present any challenges, or with the internet and computers and stuff, is that all really sort of sorted out?
With the internet and computers, it's really easy these days, because we can just send each other things over the internet and update things we've changed, and it kind of makes working together from interstate really easy. So yeah, it's not that much of a challenge, not as much as most people would think.
Where does the inspiration for the music come from? Like, is it themes of lyrics that are being written, or concepts, or is it other things?
So it's for Xenocide. It's a concept. So from the beginning to the end, it tells a story that I've written through lyrics. And Aversions Crown always use the alien theme with all their music. So yeah, it's a concept. It's got a big story to it, which will tell, of alien race, kind of the hierarchy within it, and why they become divided, and the fall, basically why their hierarchy decided to fall apart and disagree and start fighting each other. And it goes over the topics like creating the human race and why they believe that was a mistake.
How do you get together a concept like that? Because in a way, every song is a concept, but this is kind of extended, and it kind of has to maybe in some way be a bit more meaningful than just the individual song. It has to carry over the entire album.
Yeah. So it's basically so each song basically tells a certain part of the story. So there's certain events that I've written a story in whole, and each song represents a certain event that happens within that entire story. Basically, the story as a whole kind of has themes of, just betrayal and people, beings in general, just being greedy and what that can create, really. So there's sort of a message behind it, but at the same time, it's a sci-fi adventure in the form of music.
With writing a concept where clearly you have an idea behind it, what do you think about people? Because I'm kind of interested in this idea of, does it matter what people mean, or is it all about what the audience sort of reads into stuff? What do you think of the audience reading stuff into the themes of this album that maybe you didn't intend? Yeah, well, I think, with everything, people interpret things completely different, and I might write something believing it's this way, and someone might interpret it different. But usually with just creative writing, you can kind of get the gist, and as long as you explain what you're writing about quite clearly, and I like to go very in-depth with certain sections on the album where it's almost telling you like an operation procedure. So if you're very clear with how you're using your creative writing, I think you and your fans will be on the same page. But sometimes, miscommunication happens, and people have kind of come up with their own sort of theories with songs, and it's cool. I think I respect it. For this album, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get some of that. Some of the information about what exactly is happening with the lineup. But my understanding is it's a bit more streamlined, only 2 guitarists as opposed to the previous 3. Is that correct?
Yeah, at the moment we only roll with 2 guitarists, mainly because we used we utilised 3 guitars on the other 2 albums, but for this one we decided that it was a bit, I don't know, we could get the same sort of sound with just two, and we just decided that with some of the members kind of falling out, and we had a few members leave and a lineup change, we could still accomplish what we wanted with just two guitars instead of three, and still get the same kind of effect, same sort of atmosphere.
For your part, very sort of individually, how do you go about writing your vocal parts? Do you have a method? Do you seek particular inspiration aside from the instrumental stuff you get sent? How does that work?
My inspirations comes from a lot of things, really. I'll watch a movie, a science fiction movie that I get a real cool idea from, or it's just something in life. I might read a word and just like, that could be used really cool in this line. And video games and books and documentaries. It's basically anything in form of entertainment. If you see something and you find it intriguing, you often, try and put that into a song. Well, that's how I do it, at least, is I'll find something and be like, that's a really cool idea, and try and add it into some form of story that I'm writing. And yeah, it's just inspiration. Like things like Independence Day, like that movie has so many inspirations on the album. It's ridiculous. And even just cool like movies like Arrival that kind of go over the different side of alien races, and it's not all just so black and white.
The album's not out yet, but obviously people like myself, other media outlets, we get a preview of it, we can put some word out, and it's been getting really good reviews. Is that something you pay attention to? Like, do you sort of go, I'll seek that out and look for feedback, or how do you approach that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I always look at the reviews and what people think, and I look at all the comments on the videos and stuff, just, make sure that people are enjoying it. Obviously with, you can't please everyone, but yeah, so far a majority of the reviews and everything have been really good, which is good. I don't really, change my sound depending on if I want to get a good review or anything like that. I'll just write music how I believe it should be written or how I personally want to write it, and it's really cool to see that, people reviewing the album, are on the same page. They think what we're doing is really cool. So. Now,
in terms of, like, bands releasing albums and kind of finding their space, finding their zone, I don't know if this is kind of a thing or it's just coincidence, because quite a few bands have done it that way, but it often tends to be the third album which sort of really, I feel like bands sort of find their stride. And the reason I think it is for this album is, like, in a weird way, it sort of feels like it's allowed to breathe a lot, the album. Even though it's really heavy and fast, it feels really spacey, and it's got lots of nice room for everything to kind of do its own thing.
Yeah, I think, it's just a practice, the band has gone to write over a long period of time, and we've kind of just slowly found our sound and how we want it to be. And, I think this time around we kind of tried to focus more on the atmospheric elements opposed to just trying to make a real heavy, fast album. We still made it heavy and fast and metal, but we really wanted to add some atmosphere into it. And I think you can hear that in some of the tracks. So we even have parts where it's just ambience and drums, and it sounds really, eerie and spacey. And we also added some real grim sort of black metal elements to it, where it sounds almost sad, but the vocals have this real ghostish sort of sound. And I think we just really went for an atmosphere, like a very atmospheric sort of sound this time around, where we wanted certain sections, you hear them and feel a certain way. And I think we did pretty good at doing that.
Maybe it's just because I pay a lot more attention to the vast array of new music that's coming out. But in the last 5 or 10 years, it really seems like technical music, particularly death metal, a number of bands have really focused on various sci-fi themes. Do you know why that might be? Why those kind of things sort of have meshed together for a lot of bands?
I think it's probably because the music is kind of complicated in its own way. Because it's always usually fast, and there's a lot of stuff going on in a very short amount of time. I think just people like to relate the way it sounds to almost something alien and foreign that you can't really understand. So yeah, as far as using monsters and aliens and otherworldly type themes on bands, I think that's a reason that they do it, is because the music just gives that feel. At least for me personally, when I hear something real kind of abstract, it always feels otherworldly for me. It doesn't feel like something human, especially very fast stuff.
I think you're the first vocalist who I've interviewed who's sort of not an original vocalist for the band, and that's kind of an interesting position to be in some ways. What's the process like coming into the band and kind of filling that space? Do you adapt to fill an existing style that the previous vocalist has set, or do you kind of put your own stamp on it?
It's mainly just me putting my own stamp on things, really. I always respect what the previous vocalist did, and it's just, for me, I always write for my own sort of style, and I think that the band like what my style is and respect that. So, yeah, it's a bit of a difficult position to be in, because you don't want to change the sound of the vocals of the band too dramatically, because then people won't, the previous fans might not dig it as much. But I believe that if you just do something sincere, they will always, back you for it. And I think that I've added, a good level of range to the band, but also trying to keep that heavy sort of guttural, grim sound of the band. So, yeah, I think you just got to try and do your own thing, but not go too far off the ball, I guess.
Now, how did you first get into music?
Actually, it's a funny story. One day I went to my mum's friend's house, and her son had all these posters on the wall, and there was just all kinds of weird bands that I hadn't heard of, like System of a Down and Slipknot, and I found it really intriguing, the whole mask concept that they had going for the band, the theme, and I just went home and checked it out on the internet, and surely enough, I fell in love with how, aggressive it is, and yeah, I just, that's probably this changing point in my life, was just looking at those posters and being like, wow, that's different, and then, looking it up and being like, well, crazy. So, yeah, I think I don't know how old, maybe about 10 years old, but it's crazy, yeah. I just saw a poster and it basically changed everything for me.
Yeah. It's funny how that happens. Do you have any particular... I know this is like the most difficult question anyone could ever ask. It's far more difficult than any sort of moral quandary or anything like that. But at least for most people, do you have any particular favourite bands or artists? And I'm not saying you have to nail it down to one, but like maybe any in general.
Oh wow, yeah, it's crazy. Bands. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have to go. I always have these top three that I tell everyone, and I do believe they help me get the sound I have now. And I always use them for inspiration. Doesn't matter what sort of music I start listening to, so I always name them. And that would be Slipknot, Linkin Park, and I'm always gonna have to say Eminem, because I just love delivery and vocals. I love how it flows, and I think he has a really cool flow. And even though it's not a metal type, answer to the question, I feel that if you did his type of flow with metal vocals, it's outstanding. It's insane. So,
did any of those or any other bands sort of prompt you to go, hey, I it's not just me listening to it. This is actually something I can do myself. I can actually, take one part of that music and actually be that person, the vocalist.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. At one point in my life, that just happened. I was listening to it, and I was like, what, this is cool. I think the actual point where I decided to start doing vocals was I was actually at a show, and I saw all the people at the front of the crowd just getting mic grabs and singing along with the band and singing with them, and I was like, that's awesome. I'd really love to be able to sing just like them. And after just lots of practice at home, somehow I developed the technique. And yeah, I guess it was just, I basically started doing vocals just so I could, have a little bit of extra fun at shows, singing with my favorite bands and stuff just from the crowd. And I guess after just lots of practice, a bunch of people thought I was pretty good and decided to pick me up.
My understanding is that the band wrote about 25 or so songs or something along that for the album. And I'm interested, what happens to those ones which didn't make the cut? Do they just go away, or do you sort of put them in the backlog and, when the time comes around for the next album, you pick them up as potential candidates?
Yeah, so with the ones that usually don't make the mix. It's just because, we've had other songs that we felt were stronger at the point. But what we do with the ones that we don't use, usually we'll find a section that we really do like in that song and actually cut it out and put it into a newer song. And it's kind of like, cutting and pasting songs together and kind of creating something real cool. So we sometimes, we still use them for sections that we have in them. We just might add it to a new song and use it that way opposed to just using the original version of it. So whatever we do write always gets used in some way. It's just might not make the current album we're working on because we felt that it wasn't strong enough.
Obviously it's early days for these kinds of things. But are there any plans for Australian tour dates in the work?
Yeah. We're actually working on 2 Australian tours right now. So we will be going around Australia a couple times this year for sure. As far as dates, I can't announce anything yet, mainly because I just don't want to annoy any of the promoters or anything like that. Sure. But there is something in the works, and it won't be too far away. So, people can keep an eye out, and they'll see it announced and stuff. There's Australian tours coming, and a lot of other places at the same time.
Aversions Crown's third album, Xenocide, is out now. Mark, thank you so much for joining me.
No worries, man. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Moshpit Backstage podcast. You can subscribe to us on iTunes and Omni. To find out more about the show, go to www.syn.org.au/moshpit. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/moshpitonsyn and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at moshpitsyn. The regular Moshpit radio show broadcasts punk, rock and metal tunes and interviews every Thursday nights on SYN 9.7 on FM and digital radios. Listeners outside of Melbourne, Australia can stream SYN 9.7 online at www.syn.org.au. Thanks to Vintage Ruin for the music.
Hi, this is Tommaso from Flashgun Apocalypse.
Hi, I'm Enid from Girls Go.
I am Phoebe Pinnock from Heaven the Axe.
Hey, this is Gary Olney of the Misfits.
Hey, this is Kat Sproul from Horizon's Edge, and you're listening to the Moshpit on SYN FM.
Hi, this is Einar from Leopard.
Hi, I'm Virginia Lilly from the band Lily.
This is Raul from 1349.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ali from Zebrahead.
Hey, everybody, this is Charlie Benante with Anthrax, and you are listening to the Moshpit on SYN.